final series of the season here. They find themselves closest to the Rangers in second place, yet still 8.5 games back. While not entirely do or die for the A's, this weekend series provides the Rangers an opportunity to widen the gap in the division race beyond reach as September nears. Tonight's starter, Tommy Hunter, looks to stay perfect at home and help add a little breathing room in the Rangers' quest for the West title. TXA 21 presents Friday Night Baseball from the ballpark in Arlington. Next. Gorgeous night to the first of 3 games between the top 2 teams in the American League West. The Texas Rangers, with a sweep, could push the A's 11.5 out. On the other hand, the A's could get within 5.5 of the Rangers. Good crowd on hand as we welcome you to Friday Night Baseball, the Rangers and the A's here on TXA 21. And welcome. I'm Dave Barnett in for Josh Lewin tonight. With me, Tom Grieve and Tom Hunter on the mound. Tommy Hunter for the Rangers in this ballpark has been the best matchup possible. Yeah,
it really has, Dave. And I think you go back years ago, the Rangers, if they wanted to win at home, had to score a lot of runs because it was tough to pitch here. The staff this year has pitched very well in this ballpark, and Tommy kind of leads the pack. He's had 8 starts here. He's 6-0. His ERA is around 3. In his career, which is not a long career, but in 20 starts here, Tommy's 12-4. So the heat, the wind, whatever makes this a good hitter's ballpark doesn't bother Tommy.
And he's coming off that victorious but odd line against Baltimore, 8 innings without striking out anybody, without walking anybody. That had not happened in 4 years in the major leagues. Some encouraging signs of late. Vlad Guerrero seems to have regained his home run stroke. We'll see if he can keep that up as the Rangers take on the A's. First pitch coming up. XA21 is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. By Standard Insurance, call 1-800-929-2424. And by AT&T. See what's new from AT&T. Visit att.com for details. The Rangers take the field for the first of three against the Oakland A's. A series of opportunity for both teams. Both obviously looking for a sweep. And a sweep for the A's could make this a race, which it really has not been for weeks and weeks. On the other hand, a Ranger sweep, and the A's would find themselves heading into September, 11.5 game out, and pretty much finished for all practical purposes. Starting lineups tonight for Bob Guerin and the A's. As usual, Coco Crisp at the top, Martin Suzuki, Cust, and Rajai Davis in right field, having a terrific season series against the Rangers this year, 326 and 6 stolen bases. Cliff Pennington out of Corpus Christi and Texas A&M, the shortstop, and Tommy Hunter going after his 11th victory in his 16th start this year.
Yeah, he's had a nice season. He's 10-2, 3 or fewer earned runs in 12 of his 15 starts. And as we mentioned in the open, 20 career starts in this ballpark. He's gone 12-4. His last start was a successful start in Baltimore. He pitched 8 innings, gave up 3 earned runs, made 1 careless pitch. He hung a changeup for a 2-run homer late in that game, but he was in pretty good command of that game. Prior to that, he'd had 2 starts where he gave up 6 hits and 4 runs in 3 innings in each one of those starts. So it was a nice comeback for Tommy, and hopefully he can keep it up today. The big difference, Dave, in that game was he threw the ball where he wanted to throw it, his 2-seam fastball, got a lot of ground balls, and even though he didn't strike anybody out, he was in pretty good command of that game with a lot of weakly hit balls put in play, and hopefully we'll see a lot of that tonight.
Tommy pitches to contact. He's not usually looking for a big strikeout total. And really remarkable. They have 10 wins after missing the first 2 months of the season. He made his debut here June 5th, a memorable complete game on a 100-degree afternoon against Tampa Bay. And in terms of total wins since then, only CC Sabathia has more. He has 13 wins since June 5th. So here's Coco Crisp, veteran center fielder, hot of late. And he settles in, and Hunter's first pitch is down low. So fairly comfortable 91 degrees. Not quite the 78 degrees of a couple of days ago.
No, I was around the batting cage when the sun was out down there, and it was hot, but it wasn't very humid. It was actually pretty comfortable. I think it's a perfect night to play ball.
Coco Crisp having a good season series against the Rangers. Covelli Lois Crisp, as he was born. But his sister and godbrother liked Coco, and it finally stuck when it came up to the Rangers with majors in the Cleveland organization. And Bobone tracks down the first out of the game. Julio part of this Ranger defensive alignment tonight. Hamilton at left. Murphy another start in right. Jorge Cantu again at first base. Andres Blanco playing terrifically over the last several nights. And Matt Trainer doing the catching. Derek Barton, first baseman, batting .278, and on a 9-game hitting streak. That's the second longest of his career. His longest was earlier this season. He hit in 11 straight in May and June. And a high strike called by Mike DeMuro. He's behind the plate. Tim Welke at first, Jim Reynolds at second. Tim's brother Bill Welke is the umpire at third. Not quite enough bite on the curveball, and it's 1-1. Every time the Rangers have played the A's, it seems that they're taking on a team that is full of guys on streaks, and Barton on a good streak here. But they've got a few that are in terrible slumps at the moment. That curve drops in nicely, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, you can't help but look at the Oakland lineup and wonder what they could be if they had a few big hitters in the middle of the lineup, like a Guerrero and a Hamilton, with their pitching they would be a major contender. They've scored 507 runs on the season. Not very much. But Seattle scored 90 runs fewer than that, which shows you the kind of offense Seattle has. Almost non-existent.
Just missing 3 balls and 2 strikes to Barton. Oakland just above non-existent, having a horrific month of August, and most frustrating to Bob Guerin is it's coincided with a great run of starting pitching.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing. I don't know what the record is in August, somewhere around 500 probably, but with that offense you would expect it to be much less than 500. That's how good their pitching has been.
Well, they're working on a streak of 18 consecutive quality starts. 6 more innings, 3 earned runs or fewer.
That's pretty amazing.
And they've split those games. 9 wins and 9 losses. The 3-2 pitch. Blanco handles it for out number 2. Well, this Oakland starting staff, the best in the American League right now. And in some pretty heady company now. You have to go back to the Braves of 13 years ago and the Orioles back in 1961 to find the longer streaks and the one that the A's have currently put together.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams that have had 3 starters, maybe 4, that might have put streaks together like that. But to have your whole staff do it, all 5 starters, shows you not just the quality at the top of the rotation, but the depth that they have in their rotation.
Here's Kurt Suzuki, the catcher, and he lines a base hit out to Josh Hamilton, and in doing so ends an 0 for 22 slump. Before I could even get it out, in contrast to Barton, who's hitting well, Suzuki was 1 at bat shy of his longest career hitless streak ever. He went 0 for 23 in May of 2008. But ready for that first pitch he got from Hunter?
I'll bet you that little smile is a smile of relief as he talks to Cantu at first base. And that's exactly how a hitter feels. You get in one of those slumps, it feels like you'll never get a hit again. And then when you finally get one, it's like the weight of the world is off your shoulders and you can finally breathe again.
Oh, here's Jack Cust playing left field tonight. And that one foul. Cust has been going about like Kurt Suzuki. His last 25 games hitting only .208. Driving in only 5 runs, striking out 38 times. He is excellent possibility any given at bat to strike out. Last year led the American League with 185. The 0-1 pitch. That's long and out of play. Nothing at 2.
He's kind of a poor man's version of Jim Thome. He has good power. He gets a lot of walks. His on-base percentage doesn't really reflect his batting average. It's much higher because of the walks, but he's also prone to the strikeout. Thome obviously hits more home runs, and it's a different type of career, but similar in the style that they have.
And similar look out there. Both big, burly, left-handed hitters. Hunter trying to paint the outside black that time and just missed.
That's his 2-seam fastball, and it tailed away pretty well. In fact, it probably tailed away that extra couple of inches to cause it to be a ball. But you want that movement on the ball, and that's what Tommy had in Baltimore. They got a lot of those ground balls.
He could not hold up his swing that time, and that's strike 3. So the A's get the 2-out single by Kurt Suzuki. They leave him aboard. Nothing for Oakland. The Rangers coming to bat. Guerrero with his 431st career home run. And indications even before last night that he was starting to come around. A slump that began the 1st of July seems finally to be coming to an end. And Brett Anderson, outstanding despite the 3-4 record. At 286 earned run average really tells much more of the story for him this year. And he starts Elvis with the strike.
Anderson is really the left-handed complement of the two young 22-year-old starting pitchers, Trevor Cahill being the right-hander. Both of these kids are among the best young pitchers in baseball, and they're both on this in the same rotation. And if you're in their division and you face the A's 19 times a year, you're going to see these guys 3, 4, and 5 times a season for the foreseeable future. And they are outstanding young pitchers. This kid really knows how to pitch for a 22-year-old. He looks like he's 30 when you watch him pitch, the way he mixes his pitches up.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Elvis. 0 for 4 in his last 2 games. After a 14-game hit streak, which was 2 shy of his career-long streak of 16 games late last year. Two for 9 all-time against Brett Anderson, and still alive. Anderson, the son of Oklahoma State coach Frank Anderson, who was, before becoming the Cowboys head coach, a top pitching coach for years in collegiate baseball. And Brett committed to playing for Oklahoma State as a senior out of Stillwater High in 2006 until he was drafted. This is high with a breaking ball, and it's full up now on Elvis. Only 1 win in his last 4 starts, despite those glittering numbers. 233 earned run average. Chopper bobbled by Barton, but he recovers to make the play unassisted.
He spent some time on the disabled list with an elbow injury, but he's throwing the ball great right now. Good curveball, good fastball, good changeup, good know-how. Put him and Cahill back to back in the same rotation. Boy, you've got 40% of your rotation set for a long time. He came over to the A's in a trade that was a lot like the Ranger trade with Atlanta, where they picked up Felice and Andrews. The A's traded Dan Herron and picked up a number of players, 5 or 6 players. 2 of the players were Anderson, a frontline young starter, and Carlos Gonzalez, who they've since traded and now is one of the best young players in the National League. They acquired a frontline all-star caliber position player and a frontline top of the rotation starting pitcher and a couple of other big leaguers in that trade for Dan Herron.
Narrowly missing those last 2 pitches to Michael Young and his 2 balls to the strike.
And when you look at their problems scoring runs right now and the pitching that they have, they can only wish that they still had Carlos Gonzalez.
Hit well, slicing, and it is just foul. That's about as close as you can come as a right-handed hitter to getting one inside the right field foul pole. Very nearly Michael's 20th home run.
Well, Michael's hit a few right down the right field line in this ballpark. The last homestand, that little triangle, if you can hit it, isn't very far away. And he almost did hit it.
Missed it by maybe 5-6 feet or so. So here's the 2-2 pitch. And that is bounced to the second baseman, Ellis. Quick toss over to Barton. 2 up and 2 down to the Ranger first. And that brings up Josh Hamilton. Josh at 354. After an 0 for 2 last night, he walked twice. And until last night, had a streak of 6 straight games with a hit and a run batted in. 4th with 30 homers, top 5 in runs batted in, 3rd in on-base percentage. Got to look a long time through the American League stats to find something that does not feature Josh Hamilton prominently.
Anderson has pitched better against right-handers, actually, than he has left-handers. Left-handers hit 80 points higher against Anderson.
Toward the corner, Cust watches that one sail into the stands. 1 ball and 1 strike. Why would you expect that to be such a...
The only thing I can think of is that his curveball entices the right-hand hitter more than it does the left-hand hitter. He breaks it, or slider, down and in, and probably gets the right-hand hitters to swing at that quite a bit. His changeup is probably, and there you go.
There's a base hit by a left-handed hitter, and into the corner before Cust can get it back in. It's an easy stand-up double for Josh Hamilton.
So the hard breaking ball into the right-hand hitters is a problem. His changeup tails down and away to the right-hand hitters is probably an effective pitch, maybe more so than it is to a left-hand hitter. But it still is a rather large discrepancy that you wouldn't expect to see. You would think his curveball would neutralize left-hand hitters a little more than it seems to.
Anderson working Hamilton away. Josh went with it. And that is double number 39. He is tied for 3rd in the American League. Evan Longoria with 41. Miguel Cabrera with 40. And way in tight to Vlad Guerrero. Vlad, after going 2 for 4 last night, 2-run home run, his 2nd straight game going deep. And that followed a 20-game stretch in which he hit only 1 home run. And the average back up over 300. Starts the night at 302. And in runs batted in, he is 4th, 1 behind Jose Bautista. His teammate breathing down his neck. 1 ball, 1 strike. A check of Hamilton. And a shot off of Barton. Ellis will not get to it for time to get a play at first. And he's late with his throw home. Hamilton on the head first dive makes it 1-0 Rangers.
Again, not many guys are going to score from second on that play. It took excellent base running to cut the corner, the speed and the slide to just sneak in ahead of Ellis's throw. And so many times we talk about all the things that Josh does on the field to help you win a ball game. And here's another example. The ball doesn't carry him that far into right field. Ellis knows what's about to happen. And so he fields it quickly. He throws quickly. He throws accurately, but not in time to get Josh.
1-0 Rangers. And here is Cantu. Jorge batting .234. Still looking for his first Ranger run batted in. Look at the play by Ellis. And the ability of Josh to reach and get just the back edge of the plate. Making himself the smallest possible tag target for Kurt Suzuki. We've seen that now twice, Tom. Josh Hamilton scoring from second on an infield single.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You have to have a lot of things going for you. You have to have a good lead, a good jump. You know there's 2 outs. The minute the ball's put in play, you're not waiting to see what happens. You get a good jump. You have to plan to go home as you're running. You can't all of a sudden go around third base and then decide. You have to cut the corner well. Yeah, obviously have to have excellent speed. And then it takes a great slide right here to beat that tag. Is just a combination of talent to be able to score that run.
Maybe it's the weight he lost by getting the haircut.
That might have been just what it took.
Just that little extra dollop of speed. Well, every night it seems we see some new level of excellence from Josh Hamilton.
I'm just glad we're on his team, getting a chance to watch it every day.
David Murphy takes ball 1. Murphy hitting .271 with 8 home runs, 45 runs batted in.
And it's one thing I think you need to tell ourselves: don't ever take what you're watching this year from him for granted, because you don't see it very often. There's not many players who have ever had that kind of talent to do what he's done, and we get to watch it every day.
Guerrero at second, Cantu at first, and Murphy sends a jolt into 1. That will run off the wall. Guerrero comes home. Dave Anderson waving Cantu to the plate, and he'll score without a throw. David Murphy. 3-0 Rangers.
When you're talking about a 2-out rally with nobody on base against an outstanding young left-hander, and the numbers that we talked about seem to be holding true. Left-hand hitters on the season against Anderson hit over 300, and both left-hand hitters, Hamilton and Murphy, have hit the ball hard the opposite way for extra base hits. David continues to get huge hits for the Rangers. He doesn't just like knock in a run when a score is 8-2. He gets big runs knocked in with either a home run, an extra base hit. The other day it was a triple in the first inning that was the big hit of the ball game, and the road trip, the home runs in Seattle, and another big hit right off the bat in this game.
Well, it is a 25-pitch first inning, and he still looks for the third out as Matt Trader takes strike one. Trader batting .222, 5 homers, 23 runs batted in. Had the night off yesterday. But back now in the catcher rotation with Benji Molina. One will play 3 games, the other will play 2, back and forth. Missing with the curve. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And I would say early in the first inning, the thing that has hurt Anderson is he hasn't been able to use his curveball effectively. It's not breaking down into the strike zone. It's kind of staying up and away from the right-hand hitters. And so he's had to throw maybe more fastballs than he would like to. And the hitters have been ready for the fastballs. Hamilton and Murphy especially have lined doubles to left field on fastballs.
Anderson slowing things down quite a bit as he gets a chopper. Pennington from short, throw on the run, finally out number 3. But the Rangers put together 4 straight base runners and score 3 2-out runs on 3 hits and 1 left. 3-0 after 1.
Thank you very much, Dave. I'm here in the TXA21 and Texas Rangers Foundation Community Corner, and it's Firefighter Appreciation Night out here at the ballpark. And I'm here with Wendy Norris, and she is with Texas LODD Task Force. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your group does?
Our organization assists the families and fire departments of fallen firefighters. Whenever they experience a line of duty death, we assist them through the process of just going through that experience of losing a loved one.
I'm sure they appreciate that, and you have some special guests out here tonight you'd like to introduce to us?
Yes, we have Ed Stauffer with the Federation of Fire Chaplains, who is a founding member of the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation and with our organization. And we also have the families of 2 fallen firefighters, their son, Gary Staley and Austin Cheek, both their parents that are here with us. We assisted with them when they died in the line of duty. So.
Well, it's great to have all you guys here tonight. We appreciate what your family members have done for us.
Thank you very much.
And Dave, we'll send it back to you.
Okay, Julie and Kevin Kuzmanoff Flies out to Borbone in center field to begin the second inning. He'll be followed here by Jeff Larish, the DH, and Mark Ellis, the second baseman. And Tommy Hunter taking the mound in the second inning, already staked to a 3-0 lead. That's twice now in the last 6 games. Rangers have put 3 on the board in the first. Last Tommy Hunter start, as a matter of fact. 3 in the first off of Kevin Millwood in what became a 6-4 Ranger win. Larish picked up off waivers from the Tigers. 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 week ago called up from the A's AAA Sacramento franchise and up for his second stint. Little dribbler. Nice reach for the backhand by Hunter, and he fires a bullet to can 2 for out number 2.
He's throwing home at about 90 miles an hour. He threw that sinker to first at about 92 miles an hour. And you can never underestimate Tommy's agility. He's a big guy, but he bounces around pretty nicely on the mound. And it looked like that ball might sneak by him and be a tough play for one of the infielders. But Tommy pounced on it, made the play, and had a little bit extra on his throw just in case it was going to be a close play.
The agility, the nimbleness, don't necessarily connect with a man of Tommy's dimensions. But, he is the all-around athlete on the mound. First pitch in there to Mark Ellis, the veteran second baseman. And he's in a long ditch coming into this series. 6 for his last 39. That's 154 over 12 games. And this one popped up for the second baseman Blanco, just out on the grass, and it's a 1-2-3 second inning for Tommy Hunter. It's brought to you by Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com today. Toyota, moving forward. Blanco reaches the tarp way out in front of the first pitch from Brett Anderson here in the bottom of the second inning. Got exactly what he expected. Pulled the trigger a little bit too early. Andres batting .248. 5 for 12. Very productive in the Minnesota series. Some good defensive moments as well. And now no balls and 2 strikes. Andres in his last 3 games making very good use of his hits. Total of 4 hits, 3 of them doubles, and he's driven in 2 runs. Here's the 0-2. And that one will be fielded by Suzuki, but no chance for a throw. A leadoff swinging bunt of an infield single for Andres Blanco. And already 4 base hits for the Rangers off of Brett Anderson.
Got on top of that curveball. Anderson's going to try to make the play, but he's called off by Suzuki. Watch him peel away. And I don't think Anderson could have made the play. Being a left-hander, he was going to have to turn all the way around to throw it. And Suzuki might have made it a close play, but he would have had a tough play making it himself anyway.
Anderson to keep pretty close tabs, you would think, on Blanco here. The Rangers now with 142 infield hits, and that leads the league by a pretty wide margin. Evidence of the speed up and down this lineup this year. Speed and balance. Julio showing, but Bordeaux batting .263 over his last 18 games, just 200. He is one of the best bat handlers in the American League. A small ball weapon. He has 9 bunt hits on the year, 4th in the league. Shows bunt there and pulls back to look at a slider in there for a strike.
Yeah, Julio over the last couple of weeks has had a couple of drag bunts to the right side that were very nice bunts. It looks like that part of his game is significantly improved.
Kuzmanov in on the grass at third. Another toss to first. Pennington and Ellis double play depth.
I think he needs to keep working on the bunt that he drags down the third base line, so he can be able to do it on either side, first or third.
Well, it looked like Suzuki had made a nice stop there, but it carried him just far enough to his right for Andres Blanco to advance.
Anderson fell as he was throwing that ball, was in the dirt for a wild pitch on a sacrifice bunt attempt. You stay right with that sacrifice bunt if you want to and bunt him over to third base, but Anderson looked like he twisted his knee, twisted his ankle. We get a visit from the manager and the trainer. See if we can see what happens here. Yeah, it looked like his right knee just gave out.
Just buckled on him.
Yeah.
Almost as the ball was on the way to home plate before he felt whatever this turned out to be. Slipped a little bit on his landing foot. And so you would think he'll have some convincing to do to make Bob Guerin not think about pulling him here. He'll take a few warm-up tosses. He's already thrown 35 pitches, a 29-pitch first inning. And the Rangers got 3 2-out runs off of him. And maybe 1 or 2 more. You'll see the slip upon landing right there. There's that little hollowed out portion, the foot-sized brown spot that you see right there.
That's where his right foot hits. It looked like his right foot hit maybe 2 inches short of his mark and caused him to slide into the indentation that his foot made. You know, at the big league level, your delivery is very consistent, and your landing foot will land in pretty much the exact same place every time. Looked like his slipped that time as it entered that little area where it normally hits. They're going to stick with him, see what happens.
So Bourbon will step back in with the count of 2 balls and a strike. Blanco at second after an infield single and a wild pitch. Rangers with the chance here to go up 4-0 in just the second inning. This first of 3 games. Showing bunt and fouls it back, and now it's 2-2.
That's the other part of the bunting game that Julio has to improve on, is his sacrifice bunt. That's part of his game, and that's what he has to excel at, being a Brett Butler kind of player who can get the bunt down anytime you need it.
So really it's a matter of bunting when they're not necessarily expecting it, and that's when you succeed. But when they know you're going to try and sacrifice, That's the area where he needs to improve.
You still have to get that bunt down too and advance the runner. The other one, you're trying to get on base for a base hit. The element of surprise. But then the sacrifice bunt is the bunt that you lay down when they know it's coming to advance the runner. And I think Julio has a lot of room to improve in that area.
Well, swinging away at 3-2, and a chopper up the middle, backhanded by Ellis. No play anywhere. And the Rangers now with back-to-back infield singles to begin the second inning. They've got runners on the corners with nobody out. And Andrews ready to step in, all ready for the second time tonight.
Well, you end up coming out very well on this. Instead of a sacrifice bunt, which may have moved the runner to third and result in an out, Julio moves the runner to third and gets himself a base hit as well. Get the best of both worlds. Move the runner and get on yourself.
That's his 25th infield hit this year. Top 6 in the American League.
Well, that's an excellent stat, because that's something that he needs to do. Take advantage of his speed.
Here's Elvis. And he fouls the first pitch into the second deck. Elvis began the game running a full count before grounding out to the first baseman Barton. This is where Elvis has been at or near the top of the American League virtually all year. Runners in scoring position, second at 376. Only Delman Young of the Twins, hitting 381 with runners in scoring position, is better. And for that matter, third best in that category, Josh Hamilton. An RBI opportunity here with nobody out. Runners on the corners. Another dribbler. Same area and the same results. Andrews is safe. Blanco has come home, and it's 4-0. The ultimate in small ball. 3 straight infield singles.
Yeah, this is some kind of rally right here. 2 of them hit the exact same way down the third baseline after an inning where they had 3 hard hits, 2 doubles and Guerrero's hard ground ball. On the first inning, if Barton is able to field the hard hit ground ball that Guerrero hit, the Rangers wouldn't have gotten any runs. They got a run on that play, and then Murphy's double scored 2, and Anderson has to be wondering what I have to do to get an out. I made 3 good pitches, 3 softly hit balls, and they have 3 hits in a run.
A Ranger offense that no longer needs to sit back and wait for the 3-run home run. They can manufacture with the best of them.
Well, I guess we can see why the Rangers lead the league in infield hits.
Good decision there by Blanco to take off on contact. Michael Young looks at a curve in there for a strike. Michael grounded to second his first time up. After a pretty strong bid at hitting his 20th home run of the year down the right field line. Third base, Kuzmanov to second for 1, on to first, and a double play as Bourbon makes third base now, and he's there with 2 outs for Josh Hamilton. 5-4-3. And Michael Young rounding into his 19th, or making his 20th double play of the year.
Nicely turned double play by the ace. Kuzmanov got rid of it quickly and accurately. Ellis didn't hang on to it very long. Ellis turns the double play as well as anybody at second base.
Anderson starts away from Josh Hamilton with that slider. Josh, in the first inning, on a 1-1 pitch, doubled it into the left field corner. Start that rally. A check swing on a change up high. 2 balls and no strikes. Inside, 3-0. Makes sense to be careful here, although you got Vlad Guerrero behind him. If you pick your poison, right now, Josh is the guy that you would take your chances on, perhaps with an intentional walk. That would take it all the way for a strike. There's ball 4. And Vlad will bat with 2 outs and now runners on the corners.
And Anderson's going to be somewhere around 50 pitches.
He's right at 47 pitches already.
And that's if he gets Guerrero.
Kurt Young, the A's pitching coach, out to the mound. Because the previous visit by Mark Garrett involved an injury, that didn't count as an official visit. As Luke Bonser, the right-handed reliever, starts to throw. There's no doubt the last thing the A's would have expected. Remember, they're working on a streak of 18 consecutive quality starts. Starters going at least 6 innings, allowing no more than 3 earned runs. Yep. The Rangers with 4 earned runs tonight, bringing that streak to an end. And here is Guerrero, who had an RBI on a, what else, infield hit, his first time up. And with that, he pulls even with Mark McGwire on the all-time RBI list. Right between the Bash brothers there. 66th in history. Looks at that pitch, and it is up high. Vlad actually started the night's trend so far with his infield hit. First of 4. 3 straight to begin this inning. That one will slice back into the seats. 1 ball and 1 strike. Vlad was so productive in the first half of the season. 75 runs batted in. It was really unlikely, if not impossible, for the Rangers to expect that kind of productivity in the second half of the season. Foul territory. First baseman Barton making the call. And the Rangers are gone to the second inning, but they get another run on 3 hits, all in. .com today on your iPhone, iPod Touch, Android, or BlackBerry for more details. 3rd inning now, and Rajai Davis playing right field tonight leads off. He'll be followed by Cliff Pennington, then the top of the order, Coco Crisp. Tommy Hunter requiring only 22 pitches through 2 innings. And there has been some radar gun rulings in this homestand that make you think there's something,
like the one right now.
Something is definitely a malfunctioning item at 96 mile an hour fastball. Rabone tracking down that line drive. Nice over the shoulder catch.
There's been a couple of hard hit balls. Davis and Crisp have both lined out to center. Kuzminov just missed one, got underneath it, and launched a high fly to center field. But fortunately, there's a lot of room out there, and fortunately, Julio has some nice quickness to run it down. Yeah, that last one that we saw at 96, it doesn't seem like that would be a possible number for Tommy. Most of his fastballs are probably 89 to 93, right around in there. Don't know that we've seen one from him at 96. At least I haven't noticed one.
Well, officially now we have. First pitch is a strike at the usual high 80s velocity that time. Pennington batting .255, 3 homers and 34 runs batted in. He snapped an 0 for 16 with a 9th inning single last night. Trying to bunt his way on here.
Fans thought he caught it in the air. They didn't see it bounce off the plate. So have some people to thank tonight, Dave. We want to thank Abby, Besida, and Kendra Yerba from West Texas. Guess what they brought? They're from West Texas.
Kolaches.
They brought kolaches. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much. And we want to thank Scott Brooks and his team for the 8th Wonder cupcakes that they sent. Susan, Kaylee, Garnett, Kay, Tara, thank you, everybody. Very much appreciated. The cupcakes look delicious.
0-2 to the slumping Pennington, and he loops a base hit out to center field. The second A's hit. Suzuki had the first, a single with 2 outs in the first inning. And Cliff Pennington looking to start a hitting streak the last couple of games after that 0 for 16 came to an end. So now it'll be the second time through the order for Hunter. Coco Crisp began the game by lining out to Bourbon in center field. From the stretch, and a change, misses up high. Would I be correct in assuming that there are more than just the kolaches that we have to thank fans tonight?
Actually, a lot of the stuff you see is left over from last night, Dave, and we have thanked all those people last night. But we had a bonanza on this homestand, and for everybody that has made that possible, we thank you again. Boy, we had all sorts of things. Banana cream pie. I guess that was coconut cream pie.
No, it didn't matter. It was glorious, whatever it was.
We had a peanut butter fudge that Kurt Dykert kind of just put his arms around and stole away from everybody else. He's eating them right now, I think, down in the truck. Chocolate pudding cake, you name it, we had it on this trip.
There goes the runner. Here's the throw by Trainer. It is late, handled on a hop by Elvis Andrus, and a stolen base now for Pennington, his 22nd of the year.
I think what the A's are saying is we have to take advantage of the talent we do have as an offensive team, and that may be running the bases. And even though they're down 4-0, there's a long way to go. And if you can steal a base, sneak a run in right here, just makes a potential comeback a little easier.
The pitch was a strike, 2 balls and a strike to Crisp. And time called now with the runner staring behind the shoulder of Tommy Hunter. Probably a visit there involving signs, maybe changing up what had been the signs. Coco Crisp, always a pretty good hitter against the Rangers, and especially in this ballpark. His career average in Arlington, 303. Foul back, and it's 2-2.
And one birthday wish. Luann Ney has a birthday today. She's a huge Ranger fan. Watches all the games. Hope you're watching tonight, Luann. If not, I bet you someone tells you that we talked about your birthday.
Did you wish Elvis Andrus happy birthday yesterday?
We talked about it. I don't know that I went up and actually did it, but we definitely mentioned it was his birthday. And since I've been saying that he's 22 years old pretty much for the last 2 months, I'm finally right when I say it now. So it's official. He is 22.
You were just a way ahead of the rest of us.
Yep.
At the cutting edge on that story. 2-2. A called strike 3. Slow stuff for out number 2 here in the third.
One of those high breaking balls that the hitter kind of gives up on. It looks like it's going to stay high. It curves down and potentially catches the top of the strike zone, and it did. You can see our rectangle and number 5 right at the top of the strike zone. But it has to come down right at the end to get there. And right before that, it looks high to the hitter. Kind of a tough pitch to swing at.
Derek Barton grounded to second in the first. And again, that high curveball. Most of the time when you think of a high curveball, you think of a ball that gets mashed. You think of that as a hanger. How does Tommy Hunter get away with his?
Well, you know, sometimes like the one to Crisp, it's actually a little bit too high. To me, the real hanging curveball is down a little bit lower, where you can really get the bat on it. And a lot of times you can get away with a pitch like that if the pitcher's mixing up his pitch as well, throws it at a point in the count where the hitter's just not ready for it. I don't think you make a living off hanging curveballs, but every one of them isn't it. I think the better your stuff and the better assortment of pitches you have, the better chance you do have of getting away with one.
And just another way that Hunter gets away with not having overpowering fastball velocity. Left field, Hamilton goes back. He's got a bead on it. Makes the catch in front of the warning track. The A's in the third. 1 hit, 1 stolen base, and 1 left. 4-0 Rangers. By Budweiser with full flavor and a crisp, clean finish. It's what we do. Well, Brett Anderson is done for the night. And after only 2 innings in which he allowed 4 runs on 6 base hits, his shortest previous outing had been 2 innings. That was at Boston on June 3rd. And Booth Bonser will have as much time as he needs to get loose here, placing an injured pitcher. Anderson slipping on his land foot in the 2nd inning, and apparently the A's have decided that they do not want to take any further chances with him. A lot of bad things can happen to other areas than your foot or your knee if you're compensating, putting different strains on your arm. That's not something that they want to take a chance with, and so Bonser takes over from here. Here's the Toyota On the Road American League scoreboard. And the Indians all over Kansas City. Rangers visit there in the next road trip. Tigers and Toronto tied up in the 7th. And in that matchup in the American League East, with wild card thoughts on both the minds of the Red Sox and the Rays. Boston by a 2-1 count. The Yankees losing. And later on tonight, Baltimore at the Angels. Minnesota will be at Seattle. Toyota moving forward. Our Toyota on the record American League scoreboard. So here is Bonser now. Big 6'4", 245-pounder. He is 28 out of the Tampa Bay area, St. Petersburg, Florida. Bonser spent all last year recovering from a shoulder injury. Both the labrum and rotator cuff repaired in his right shoulder. He got in all of one game, and that was for only one inning in the minor leagues at Fort Myers. And there is the landing that spelled the early exit tonight for Brad Anderson. We'll wait to hear whatever specific information comes up from the Oakland locker room. Bonser is ready. And Cantu goes after the first pitch and sends it high and pretty deep to right field. But room out there for Rajai Davis to make the catch. Cantu walked and scored in the first inning. Now, this is the big news today in terms of pitcher injuries, Tom, and Stephen Strasburg looking at Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, that's a shame. They were trying to do everything they could to bring him along successfully and carefully this year. His pitch counts were not high. I think his last 6 or 7 starts, his pitch counts probably averaged about 85 pitches. So it wasn't the workload that did it. It's just one of those things. And the good thing is most pitchers come back successfully now from Tommy John surgery. It's still major surgery, but I think the doctors around the country have gotten very proficient at that surgery. The one thing you can't rush is when you do come back. It generally takes a full year. So he's probably looking at missing all of next year, maybe coming back the last month or 2 of the season to get his feet wet as he gets ready for the 2012 season. But it's a shame to a franchise that had that marquee type pitcher who won't be able to pitch for him next year. It also counts as a year of service time for salary arbitration and free agency and all those kind of things. It was unfortunate, but as far as long-term goes in his career, I think everything should be okay, at least based on the history that a lot of pitchers have of successfully coming back from that surgery.
2-2 to Murphy, who had the 2-run double in the Rangers' 3-run first inning. And Bonser finishes him off with a fastball. That is the first strikeout of a Ranger batter tonight. With 2 outs, Matt Trainer will step in. And Tom, one thing that has become almost expected, I guess it's so common, is pitchers coming back from the Tommy John surgery and saying that they throw harder than they did before. And they've got much more tighter mechanism inside that elbow than they had with just what God gave them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the mechanics of the whole thing really is, but I guess before you succumb to the injury, you know, there's probably a chance that your arm is a little weaker, maybe doesn't feel 100%, and so that when you come back after the surgery and you feel 100% again, you probably do feel a little bit better and stronger than you did before. I wish we had Keith Meister, the Rangers orthopedic surgeon, here to discuss it with us. But he talks about how in his practice he sees more and more young pitchers, teenagers, 15, 16-year-old kids coming in to get Tommy John surgery. So it's become a pretty common surgery. Not a simple surgery. It's a major deal. But the orthopedic surgeons like Keith Meister have seen so much of it and done it so often that they become very proficient. You almost wonder sometimes if young kids come in to have the surgery because they do want to have it and come back stronger.
Pennington handles the short hop. Bonser comes in and puts together a 1-2-3 inning. We played 3 complete.
You don't want to miss out on this awesome promotion. The first 8,500 fans, 13 and under, will get this chest protector backpack. Why don't you model that for us? This is Josh. Josh is 4, so he's not quite ready for school, but soon enough he will be. And this is just in time for back to school. It's presented by Dr. Pepper and Albertsons. You don't want to miss out on this. Turn around, Josh. Show it to him. It's as big as Josh is. Turn around. Do a spin. There we go. All right. That's Sunday night out here at the ballpark. It's a 2:05 p.m. start. Dave, back to you.
All right, Julie. And showing bunt, Kurt Suzuki leading off the 4th inning. Well, that's a far cry from the old plaid satchels that we used to have to take to grade school.
Well, I go back even farther, and we didn't have anything to carry our books in except maybe a paper bag.
Nothing as cool as a Ranger chest protector.
Yeah.
Fair ball, headed toward the corner, and Suzuki will stand with a lead-off double. He is 2 for 2, having ended his 0 for 22 slump with his single in the 1st inning. In that case, he went after the first pitch. In this case, he waited all the way to 2 pitches in the at-bat. He got one that Tommy left up in the zone, although it was at the corner he was aiming for.
Hey, I can see Tommy utilize that 2-seam fastball, keep it down, get the ground balls that he was getting against the Orioles. Stay away from those high fastballs.
This is the first time the A's have had the leadoff man on, and Jack Cuss, the batter. He struck out his first time up, and the Rangers playing an overshift here, with Elvis Andrus playing on the other side of second base, but still the shortstop. You see Blanco out actually in the right field grass. Cantu guarding the line. Only man on the left side of the infield, Michael Young. Rocked way out in front of it, foul. 1 ball and 1 strike. And Tom, this is one of the few hitters that get this kind of defensive maneuvering from the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the others. David Ortiz, I know the Rangers will put that kind of a shift on.
The evidence behind it right there. Only 9 opposite field singles or hits all year from Cust. That is a fair ball. Bobbled. Plenty of time for Cantu to make the play. Cust does the job of hitting behind the runner and allowing Suzuki to move up to third base. So a productive out number 1 for Jack Cust. And now Kuzminov with a chance to bring in Oakland's first run.
I guess it was Minnesota that put that type of a shift on. Similar type shift with a second baseman way out in right field against Josh Hamilton. And Josh is not the kind of guy you would want to put that shift on. Generally, it's a runner that's not an exceptional runner, that if it's hit out there, you still have time to throw him out at first base. Josh would not qualify under that criteria. You have to go one way or the other. That far out in right field, you'll never be able to throw him out at first base.
Inside to Kevin Kuzminov. He flied to center in the 2nd inning. 4 for his last 9. He was 2 for 4 in each of the last 2 games at Cleveland. Before that, 4 for 42 over 14 games. Inside, 2 balls and no strikes. Kuzminov in the month of August hitting only 182. And better than break-even result trying to bring in the runner from third with less than 2 outs. 2-0 curve drops in nicely.
That's a good spot to throw a curveball in. You don't really have to throw a perfect curveball. Generally, when the hitter's ahead 2-0, he's looking for a fastball. That was a pretty good curveball for strike 1. Definitely trying to pitch him in, though. All 3 fastballs have been in. Jammed him with that one.
Tommy Hunter does not mind throwing breaking stuff early in the count, pitching backwards as the pitchers call it. That's one thing that makes up the game plan virtually every start for Tommy. And he in turn always thanks whoever his catcher was and Mike Maddox for giving him a great game plan. He says all I do is go out there and try and execute it. Down on strikes, Kuzminov. 2 outs in the 4th. The 3rd strikeout of the night for Tommy Hunter, and now up to Jeff Larish.
Looked like a nice changeup with excellent location. Good movement, right where he wanted to throw it, and he got Kuzman off to be way out in front of it. And now if he can get Larish right here, he would have pitched out of a leadoff double situation. Good pitch right there from Tommy, though.
Larish bounced to the mound. That was the 2nd out in the 2nd inning. Hunter tries to make him the last out here. And a bouncer up the middle. Andres throw in time. And a nice escape job by Hunter, the Rangers, after the leadoff double by Kurt Suzuki. Two innings, all 4 of the runs are his, all earned on 6 base hits, did not strike out a batter, and he walked 2. Blanco in the 2nd inning led off with the first of what would be 3 straight infield singles. Andres was wild pitched to 2nd and then came home on Andrus's infield hit. Bonser, 6'4", 245. We said last year recovering from 2 surgical shoulder injuries, but the 3 years prior to that he was with the Twins. And of those years, his best was his rookie year of 2006, 7-6 with a 422 earned run average. A 1-1 pitch is fouled. A mild hyperextension of the right knee is the word on Brett Anderson's injury.
Yeah, Dave, I think you said it right when you said the injury to the knee may not be serious, but you could do something serious if you favored your knee that might hurt your arm. And so I think it's a cautionary thing with a young pitcher that you just don't want to take any chances.
Dizzy Dean's career ended because he overcompensated for a foot injury. 1 ball and 2 strikes. In other words, that was back in the days where you just did not pull yourself from a lineup or a rotation.
Yeah, I don't know that they even knew what a rotator cuff injury was back then. They just said the pitcher threw his arm out. Could have been a number of things that he threw out.
Yeah, every injury back then was a sore arm.
Yeah.
Got a sore arm.
Bad arm, sore arm, threw his arm out.
You never suffered through a thrown out arm.
No, I never had a serious arm injury. I had a couple times, you know, where you had normal soreness in your arm, but never a serious injury.
Bonser, a deliberate worker. And in and out of his glove.
Let's go. Let's get this rally going.
Is this the ultimate small ball clinic we're seeing from the Rangers here? Second time in a row that Andres Blanco leads off an inning with an infield single.
Well, Andres hit a couple of 390-foot fly balls in the last series that were caught, so he's making up for it tonight with a couple of 92-foot ground balls that turn into base hits.
Tommy Hunter was able to make a similar play. Actually, probably a little more difficult because it was the other side of the mound with a longer throw. Hit and run, perfectly executed by Julio Bourbon. Shoots it through the left side of the infield with Blanco running. Bourbon is now 2 for 2. The Rangers in business, 2 on, nobody out for Elvis Andrus.
And you'd love to see Julio perform that hit and run play because, again, that's the kind of thing that suits his style of play. And the better he gets at it, the sooner he's going to be a frontline player in the big leagues. That's a beautiful job of hitting the ball the other way, getting the hit and run, slashing it by the third baseman. And a guy like Juan Pierre made a lot of money with that kind of style. And the difference between Julio and Juan Pierre is Julio can drive the ball for extra base hits.
Elvis pops it up. The Rangers now with 8 base hits. 5 of them are infield hits, including the RBI infield single in the second inning by Elvis, his 32nd RBI of the year. That was the third in the contagion, begun by Blanco, continued by Bourbon. Double play depth on the infield here. Bonser. And Andrus lays it down perfectly. Only the play to Ellis covering at first base for Bonser. And as effective a bunt as you can give in this situation, a sacrifice that moves 2 men up. Now they're both in scoring position for Michael Young. 1-4 on the sacrifice. Michael, first 2 times up, has grounded to second and hitting to a 5-4-3 double play. Elvis with that knack of knowing exactly how much to put on the bunt contact. The hitters say it's like catching the ball with your bat. Going after the first pitch, center field. Coco Crisp comes on. He can't get it, and it bounces behind him. Blanco scores. Bourbon scores. It's a 2-run double for Young, and the Rangers have jumped out 6-0.
Well, you know, it's just one of those nights where the Rangers have hit some balls hard, especially Murphy and Hamilton in the first inning. Since then, it's been infield hits and bloopers, but it's been effective. That was a very similar play to the one Kadire hit against the Rangers in the Twins game the other day when he hit a soft line drive to center. Bourbon dove just like that. It snuck by him for a 2-run double. It's a great try by Crisp. He really didn't have much of a chance to catch it, but you have to love the effort.
Young has his 72nd and 73rd runs batted in. And here is Hamilton. Josh has doubled and walked. Ball 1 down low. Josh scored the first run for the Rangers after his 2-out double. Ignited that rally. 4 straight Rangers reached. David Murphy with the biggest contribution, a 2-run double. And now Michael Young has matched him, driving home Blanco and Bourbon. 1 ball and 1 strike to Josh. 354 Hamilton's average coming into tonight. The highest average since 1960 with 30 home runs. Norm Cash's amazing 1961 season. And Josh Hamilton very much in that remarkable picture. Bonser. Long but foul. We got Hamilton way out in front of that 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and it's 1-2. Well, Josh starting today with a 14-point lead in batting over Miguel Cabrera, who was at 340. The 30 home runs, that's fourth. The 92 runs batted in place him fifth. As Jose Bautista of Toronto with a remarkable season going with 41 home runs, 10 more than anybody else in the American League. Cabrera and Paul Konerko both with 31. Here's the 1-2. Good eye, the breaking ball, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cabrera with runs batted in at 104, 7 more than A-Rod. A 6-0 lead for the Rangers. Still only 1 out in the bottom of the 4th inning. 2 runs in. You see Young's lead off of second base. And that's through on the right side. Another base hit for Hamilton. Young will score to make it 7-0 Texas. Josh drives in his 93rd of the year.
Well, a single and an RBI, a double and a run scored, and a walk in 4 innings for Josh. The Rangers continue to find holes with almost every ball they put in play.
And there is no one up in the Oakland bullpen. So at this point, Bob Gehrig is looking at Bonser lasting long enough to eat up enough innings that this will not be a real disaster for the bullpen.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're looking at. It's one of those games where, you know, they're not an offense that's built to come back from a big deficit. Doesn't mean they won't.
Flat in and out of the glove of Kuzminov, still with time to make the play at first base for out number 2.
Nice play by Kuzminov. I thought once he looked to second, he wasn't going to have a play, but he rerouted that ball in a hurry accurately to first base to get Vladdy.
Kuzminov last year set a record for National League third baseman for the highest fielding percentage. He made only 3 errors all of last year. So he avoids the bad play and turns in plenty of good plays as well. 2 outs now with Hamilton in scoring position. Jorge Cantu. He walked and scored in the first and flied to right, leading off the third as the first batter faced by Bonser. 7 runs on 10 base hits. Not quite done with 4 innings. No runs on 3 hits allowed by Tommy Hunter to the A's. Up and in, 2-0 on Cantu. Jorge playing just his 3rd game of the last 7. And in this stretch of left-handed starters that the Rangers are in the middle of right now, expected to get a nice steady streak of starts here. And he says that is what he needs to get out of his slump. Just in at the knees. Jorge still looking for his first run batted in as a Ranger. He has not driven in a run in over a month. July 21st, still with the Marlins, he drove in a run against the Rockies, and since then 21 games, no runs batted in, but a chance here. And now 2-2. You looked at this matchup coming in, you figured as well as Brett Anderson has been going of late, as well as the entire Oakland rotation has been going of late. 18 consecutive quality starts. And that streak comes to a crashing halt. It ended in the 2nd inning, as a matter of fact. 3 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 more here in the 4th inning. And a rally keyed for the 2nd time tonight with a leadoff infield single by Blanco. A couple batters later, Young with a 2-run bloop that fell in for a double in center field. 3-2 now on Cantu. This is the third of 5 consecutive outings for the Rangers against left-handed starters. They're 21-19 on the year against lefties. And Wednesday ended a 4-game losing streak against lefty starters. The 3-2 is dribbled, and it will be fair. Bonzer with the throw pulls Barton off the bag, but he comes back down in time for the out.
Great play by Barton. Looking into the runner, has to make that play. Showed some nice agility doing.
Vegas. For information and tickets, call 1-800-BLUE-MAN. 5th inning, Rangers 7-0, and we are joined by Rangers team doctor Keith Meister. We're talking about Steven Strasburg's news that he's got to undergo Tommy John surgery. And a lot of questions come to mind as Mark Ellis leads off. But the first is, why do so many pitchers have that surgery and then at the other end of it come out of it and say, I'm stronger than I ever was?
I think we see that probably more with our younger pitchers than we do with our older pitchers. I think that the younger they are, the greater the opportunity they have to improve on themselves, their bodies, because it's such a long rehab period. We get them for a year. We get them in a very structured environment for a year, so they have the ability to get bigger, stronger, do a little bit better job with their mechanics. So I think there are several factors, but I think the year-long process of recovery is actually of benefit, particularly with a lot of these young ball players.
Is there anything a young pitcher or a big league pitcher can do to keep from having that kind of surgery, having that kind of an injury?
I think there's no question that where we probably need to focus most, and we do, I think in this organization we do a very good job of it, is in our young athletes and helping them to develop a smart routine, a smart pitching routine, a good understanding of themselves, their bodies, their limitations. I think inevitably the older pitchers, it's very much like a tire tread that wears out. I mean, you've only got so many bullets in the gun, you've only got so many miles on the tire, and some of these older guys that eventually do break down, it's really just a chronic attritional process, and eventually they just wear out. So
what in the time frame to come back, there's really nothing you can do to speed that up, is there? pretty much a year or 9 months to a year?
Yeah, I think that people have tried to push the envelope, but I think that the year mark is still, it was for Tommy John, and I think 30 years later it still is for most of our young ball players. It's when we try and push it any quicker than that, I think there's an increased risk of re-rupture, re-injury, and I don't think it's worth the potential rewards to shorten that process by 2-3 months.
In layman's terms, there may be some people wondering, what is Tommy John surgery? Could you tell people that might be interested, what is the injury and what do you do to correct it?
It's a small little piece of tissue that sits on the inside of the elbow that joins the upper arm bone, the humerus, with the forearm bone, the ulna. And it sees a tremendous amount of stress when you're throwing a baseball, what we call varus torque or valgus load. And so that every pitch, that ligament sees the bulk of the loads, and it breaks. And when it breaks, it's only a 3/4 inch length piece of ligament or tissue. It's thick, it's strong, but obviously not strong enough to hold up for too many years. And when it breaks, we replace it. And I would say better than 80% of the time we can replace it with a tendon that comes from the same side forearm. Sometimes we use that same tendon from the opposite forearm, and I'd say about 15% of the time we go to the opposite leg, usually their landing leg, to take another piece of tendon.
Wow.
So.
And how different is the surgery today than it was when Dr. Joe performed it the first time on Tommy John?
I think it's much less invasive today. I think that a lot of us will use a much smaller incision and less disruption maybe to the muscle mass and the nerves around the area. So I think that we've gotten technically more proficient with the procedure, but unfortunately the biology hasn't changed, so that it just takes that much amount of time for that to heal and incorporate. And for guys to recover, but I'm hoping that the techniques that we're using today make the results more predictable and perhaps longer lasting. But I don't think for sure that anybody can say that.
Right. 3-2 on Rajai Davis here, 1 out. Top of the 5th, and the Rangers leading 7-0. And just inside for ball 4, we're visiting with Dr. Keith Meister, the Rangers team orthopedist. For some time now, you have been seeing younger and younger kids come in with this same injury. Is there any way that tide can be turned?
I think so. I think that there's just so much stress now on high-level baseball at younger and younger ages, and I think that we still need to keep in mind that these are young, these are developing and growing bodies, and the risk of injury is that much higher in these individuals that can't quite take the stresses, the daily stresses, and we need to pull the reins back a little bit. But it's in this environment with the media exposure that we see now, even in Little League baseball and the Little League World Series, that it's overblown so much of this for so many of these young kids, and the emphasis is perhaps in a little bit in the wrong area, and we probably just need to get a lot smarter in how we approach the development of our young athletes.
Do you have any broad guidelines for, say, kids between the ages of 8 and 14? As should you throw curveballs? Should you throw 100 pitches? Do you have any guidelines like that?
You know, Little League Baseball and USA Baseball has worked out some pretty good guidelines in terms of pitch counts and number of days between outings, depending upon the number of pitches thrown.
Oh, did Blanco hang on to this one or not? What an effort here. Tumbling over the wall. You almost had yourself another patient here.
Boy, this is not an easy play. He's going full speed, and that's not a padded wall right there either. Gets a little help from the fans. Thank you very much. On the play, Davis actually tags up and goes from first to second.
How many injuries is he risking there?
It seems every night for him now.
Well, Davis able to tag up and take second base on the most spectacular foul out of the year, certainly. And the gentleman in the Blue Ranger regalia there helping Andres out. You know, for a moment you weren't sure if he would lose the ball on impact. or after flipping as far over the wall as he did. But what an amazing out number 2 here. And Coco Crisp now the batter with 2 outs. Davis in scoring position. And he goes after the first pitch. There's a little more routine this time for Blanco, out number 3. Dr. Maestro, we appreciate the knowledge.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Anytime, Dave.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks, Tom.
Team orthopedic specialists. David Murphy to lead off the Ranger half of the 5th inning. 7-0. They have out-hit Oakland 10-3. Boof Bonser has been on since the 3rd inning for the injured starter Brett Anderson. Anderson leaving with a hyperextension of his knee after slipping in the follow-through of a pitch in the 2nd inning. Bonser worked a 1-2-3 third. The 4th began with an infield single by Blanco, a single by Bourbon, a sacrifice by Andrus, and the 2-run double by Michael Young, followed by Josh Hamilton's RBI single. So contributions for the Rangers up and down the lineup tonight. Bonser misses wide with a curve. 2 balls and a strike. Matt Trainer, in fact, is the only Ranger who has yet to get on base in this game. 2-2 to Murphy. Trainer on deck, and he's grounded out to short twice. But Hamilton already with 2 hits. Blanco 2 infield hits scored in each case, and Bourbon 2 for 2. Full up now on David Murphy. I had a chance to meet Dr. Frank Jobe in L.A. a few years ago, the originator of Tommy John surgery. And I asked him how the decision came about to even try it, as Murphy goes down swinging, first out in the Ranger 5th inning. And he said, well, Tommy John simply came to me after he had snapped the elbow ligament, which up to that point was a sure career-ending injury. And he went up one day and told Dr. Jobe, I'm not ready to finish my career. What can you think of on the very outer realms of your imagination that could fix this injury for me so I can at least try and come back after I recover? First pitch strike to Trainer. And
did he have to did it take him months to come up with an idea, or did he say right off the bat?
I remember
that I had
he
an
said,
idea.
well, we could do this. No, it's never been tried. You know, you would have to know that you're part of an experiment.
I guess Tommy John probably said, well, I can't pitch now anyway, so what difference does it make? Let's try it.
That's exactly what he said. He said, if I don't go in for it, I'm done. If I do, I might still be done, but I might not be. And here, decades later, it's one of the most common surgeries in all of baseball. But it started with one pitcher who was just simply too stubborn to give in to the conventional wisdom of the time that that particular injury was one that you did not come back from. I mean, think of how baseball would be different.
Well, there'd be a lot of great pitchers that you never heard anything about.
There's a line drive and a base hit for Trainer, and now all the Rangers have contributed by at least reaching a one-out single here off Bonser.
I don't have it in front of me, but I know it's very interesting to look at Tommy John's career before the surgery and after, and it's pretty remarkable what the after really turned out to be.
Double play depth for the A's, and we'll see if Blanco actually makes something happening outside the infield. 2 infield singles, and he has scored after each. That one well back out of play. And Andres continues to be a very reliable contributor at second base. It's really only his second stretch of a lot of usage all season long, with Ian Kinsler's original spring injury. He saw a lot of time. And now with a different injury keeping Ian out of the lineup, Blanco has this opportunity, and he has really impressed, especially Ron Washington. Ian Kinsler will decide this weekend on when to start a rehab assignment. He's been going through some non-baseball drills, trying to see how he moves. Can he move laterally? What about stopping and starting? Can he run the bases? Shallow left center field, and it'll be Cust, the left fielder, to make the catch. Blanco retired for the first time, and there are 2 outs. And once the decision is made where Ian will go, how many rehab games he will play, this is some of the pre-game activity before fans arrive in the stadium that Ian is doing to test that groin injury. And once he's cleared to do the rehab game, Wash says that it will be totally up to Ian how long he plays in a given game. If he wants to play all 9 innings or call it a day after 5 innings, he will be able to play that totally by ear. Borbon looks at a strike. But they hope to decide this weekend where he will finally get back on a baseball field. Well, Nelson Cruz has experienced no problems as he is testing his injured hamstring. Played his first rehab game last night, as a matter of fact, for Frisco. Throw down to second base is in time to get Trainer for the 3rd out of the 5th inning. 5 complete here in Arlington. 7-0 Rangers. .com today. Toyota, moving forward. And by Standard Insurance, call 1-800-929-2424. Sixth inning now, Rangers ballpark in Arlington. Dave Barnett and Tom Grieve in a 7-0 Ranger lead. A 3-hit shutout so far for Tommy Hunter. And it'll be Derek Barton, Kurt Suzuki, and Jack Cust in the Oakland sixth. Barton 0 for 2, grounded to second and flied to left. And Tom, we seem to be seeing the early season Tommy Hunter getting ahead, throwing strikes, pitching to contact. He has struck out 3 and walked 1. And this, of course, following the outing when he didn't strike out or walk anybody.
And I think, Dave, the biggest difference, the game in Baltimore and the game today compared to the 2 games before it, where he only pitched 3 innings in each game, is he's just keeping more balls away from the middle of the plate. He's throwing more balls on the corner. He's getting better movement with his 2-seam fastball, throwing the curveball for strikes a little bit better. In the starts where he didn't pitch deep into the game and got hit a little bit, there were just too many pitches in the middle of the plate. And he seems to have corrected that in Baltimore and again here today.
This will be handled by Cantu, unassisted at first, and Barton now 0 for 3. Let's check in here with Julie Dobbs. Julie?
Yes, thanks, Dave. As I mentioned earlier, it is Firefighter Appreciation Night out here at the ballpark, and I found me a firefighter to talk to. This is Scott Grogan. He works for the Plano Fire Department. Are you having fun out here tonight, first of all?
Oh, yeah, having a great time.
You brought your whole family, I see. Now, is this firefighting, something that you wanted to do your whole life? How did you get started in that job?
It was something I wanted to do. Probably when I first entered high school, I realized it was something I wanted, and I pursued, and I'm enjoying it. I feel fortunate. I look forward to going to work, and I love every day.
Well, thank you very much for what you do. And this is Carson over here. Carson, I wanted to ask you a question real quick. This is Scott's son. What is it like to have a dad with such a cool job?
Awesome.
One word, that sums it up. It's awesome. And we thank y'all very much for coming out tonight, and thanks again for what you do. Dave, we'll send it back to you.
All right. Awesome indeed. One out, Kurt Suzuki. 2 for 2. Singled on the first pitch he saw in the first, doubled on the second pitch he saw in the fourth. 2 balls and no strikes here. This after an 0 for 22 slump that Suzuki ended last night. A miserable month of August. Just in at the knees. Suzuki came into this game hitting 123 in August, the lowest average in the American League. 1 point better than Pittsburgh's Garrett Jones at 122, the worst August in either league. 3 balls and a strike. But what has not changed is Kurt Suzuki's catcher ERA, the staff ERA when he is behind the plate. It is far and away the best in baseball. 3.11. Under that one, down the left field line, Hamilton in fair territory for out number 2. And conversely, when anyone other than Suzuki is the catcher, the A's staff ERA is 4.51.
Suzuki's he's a good solid catcher. He made a play on Trainer that was just an incredible play. Trainer took off thinking it was going to be a wild pitch, and Suzuki turned the potential wild pitch in the dirt into a caught stealing at second base to end that last inning. So a good example of exactly what you're talking about and the solid job he does behind the plate for the A's.
That is the 15th first pitch strike from Tommy Hunter. Always the key with him getting ahead.
Look at that pitch. That pitch is in the dirt, 5 feet in front of the plate. He scoops it out of the dirt and throws him out at second base. I mean, the way he caught that ball and then was still able to make an accurate throw to get the runner, I would say in 100 times you might not see that play again.
That is ripped, and it is fair into the right field corner. Cust into second base as Murphy gets that ball back in.
And there are probably catchers in the big leagues who could see that pitch 1,000 times and not turn that into an out at second base. That's what kind of a play that was. Not a bad pitch. It looked like a cutter on the inside part of the plate. Nice job by Cust to hit it hard, keep it fair. Tommy's pitched out of modest trouble several times in the game. Man on second last inning. Leadoff double in the fourth. Man on second with 2 outs in the third.
Cust, in fact, is only the 5th Oakland player to reach the 4th hit and the second double. Kuzmanov now 0 for 2. He's flied to center and struck out. And he goes after the first pitch, sends it a long way. Left center field, out of here. A 2-run home run for Kevin Kuzmanov. And the A's are on the board at 7-2. Fans booing out there until whoever caught that home run returns it onto the outfield grass, which as of yet hasn't happened. Number 11 for Kuzmanov, up to 63 runs batted in.
The first time up, Kuzmanov got a good pitch to hit and just got underneath it. Had a great swing and hit it sky high in the air. Next time up, Tommy pounded him in with fastballs and then struck him out with a really nice changeup. That time, I'm sure he was trying to pitch him in. Let's see the catcher. Catcher sets up in. He's trying to pitch him in, but that one caught the middle of the plate, and that allowed Kuzmanov to get the good part of the bat on the ball. Well, that's one that caught the middle of the plate, and in the course of the game, there's going to be a lot more than one. But that's one that Tommy didn't get away with. Kuzmanov was able to get a hold of it. 410
feet worth. The 15th home run allowed by Hunter this year. Low with that curve. 1-2 to Jeff Larish, the DH, who has bounced to the mound and grounded out to short. Larish just up 1 week ago today from AAA Sacramento. 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Tommy shut out ball through 5 2/3 in this game. Still has allowed only 5 hits. And still leads by 5.
Good changeup.
Big wave and a miss for out number 3. Hunter upset with himself for losing that shutout. We head to the bottom of the 6th, 7-2 Texas. Worth $200 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. And tonight the Rangers are hitting for B.J. Melton from Richardson. If the Ranger hits a grand slam during this inning, B.J. wins $25,000. You can register at any North Texas Sonic restaurant. A 7-2 Ranger lead for Bone, Andrus, and Young in the bottom of the 6th against Boof Bonser, who came on in the 3rd inning for the injured Brett Anderson, left because of a hyperextended knee. Rangers got to him for 3 4th inning runs on 4 hits. Bourbon 2 for 2 tonight with an infield hit, and last time up singled actually to the outfield and ended up scoring one of the 3 4th inning runs. That one very well placed through the hole on the right side, and Bourbon 3 for 3.
Well, he's doing the things he needs to do. Hit the ball on the ground, utilize his speed. Had a beautiful hit and run and scored a run in the 4th inning. Gets on top of the ball, finds a hole, leads off an inning with a hit, can utilize his speed again.
Here's Andrews. He has grounded to first, driven in a run on an infield hit back in the 2nd, and last time up, sacrifice that allowed 2 Rangers to move up. Well out of play with this one. Boof Bonser brought up on July 31st from Sacramento, and this is just the 3rd time he has gotten into a game in 25 games since July 31st. His first outing in 9 games and 10 days.
Well, you told the reason why earlier. Would they have 18? How many straight games? It's at least 6 innings.
18 straight quality starts. Double play ball here. Ellis, Pennington, Barton.
18 straight quality starts spells not much activity for the long reliever.
This is only the 2nd time he's faced the Rangers. On August 6th in Oakland, he worked 1 inning, allowed 1 base hit. Began the year on the Red Sox DL, a right groin strain at the end of spring training. Back up and appeared in 2 games for Boston before he was designated for assignment on June 18th. And about 2 weeks later, the A's signed him to a minor league deal. Numbers not anything to really jump out at you in the minors. At Pawtucket, 0-2 with a .634 earned run average. For Sacramento, 2-1 with a .456 ERA. It's just his 3rd outing as an Oakland A. And 2 balls and a strike on Michael Young. In the 4th inning, he delivered a 2-run double and ended up scoring the most recent Ranger run in the game to make it 7-0 at that point. High, not that deep. In his tracks, Rajai Davis in right field. And despite the leadoff single by Bourbon, Bonser faces the minimum rewind. See what's new from AT&T. Visit AT&T for details. Seventh inning now. Dave Barnett, Tom Grieve, Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. And it is 7-2. Ellis, Davis, and Pennington, the bottom three in the order, against Tommy Hunter, and pitch number 78 on the evening. Ball one. Ellis is popped to second and fly to center field. Up the middle. Andrews scampering behind the bag at second to make the play.
Just makes that look so easy. Coming in on a dead run, fielding it smoothly, making that accurate throw. The key to that play is getting yourself in position in the first place to field it and make the throw.
No problem with that. And a lightning quick release. Rajai Davis hit it hard the first time up, lined out to Bourbon in center field, and last time he walked. 5 hits scattered for Tommy Hunter. Harmless singles in the first and the third, got around a Suzuki leadoff double in the fourth, and the other two were in the sixth, and that rocket is foul. The A's got a 2-run home run by Kuzminoff after a 2-out double by Cust in the sixth inning. And that ended the shutout bid for Hunter, but he is still cruising along. There's a shot up the middle, and Rajai Davis with his first hit of the night. Game day suite rentals available for all remaining games, including this weekend's Oakland A's matchups here in Arlington. Suites offer a special setting for entertaining clients, celebrating with friends, or watching a game in style with co-workers. For more information, visit TexasRangers.com/suites. And the suites tonight, both levels pretty well jam-packed. Fireworks Fridays. The Rangers with a chance to open up a 9.5 game lead over the A's if they hang on to win here. Tomorrow night, the Rangers will send Rich Harden against Dallas Braden. Braden, who of course had the Mother's Day perfect game this year, and then struggled, had some arm difficulties, went on the DL, but has returned and has looked intermittently sharp since coming back. And of course, Rich Harden coming off his partial no-hitter in his last start. Pennington way out front of a good change, and it's 0-2. Davis at first with 1 out here in the 7th inning.
Tommy's had a good changeup today. He's thrown a lot of them. Some of them have been high changeups, but he's fooled the hitter so much. The location really didn't matter. It was just the change of speed that got him. One of the best ones he's thrown was the one that struck Kuzminoff out in the 4th inning with Suzuki on third base and 1 out.
0-2 on the former Aggie, and that one is bounced foul. Tomorrow night, only standing room tickets are available, but good seats available for Sunday afternoon. It'll be a 2:05 first pitch, and the Rangers will see Gio Gonzalez looking for his 12th win of the year. And for the Rangers, Colby Lewis will make yet another bid at his 10th victory. Mr. Hard Luck, pitching well start after start, and either not getting the offense or the defensive support behind him.
Yeah, really all Colby can do is go out and keep doing exactly what he's doing and know that the offensive output will turn around for him eventually.
We've been saying that for some time
now. I know.
But he is definitely due for some good luck. On the pitch out, in and out of trainer's mitt, but nothing on. So again, a 2:05 start Sunday afternoon. And Colby's most recent unsuccessful bid at his 10th win. 6 1/3 against the Twins.
Now, Colby's 9 and 10. He could easily be 12 and 7 with just modest support over the last month.
Runner goes right back to Hunter. A play at second time. At first to finish the double play.
That's some kind of play right there, boy. Wow.
That's gold glove stuff for a pitcher. 1-6-3. Toyota.com today. Toyota, moving forward. See a good Friday night crowd at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Friday night baseball here on TXA 21. And so far so good. The Rangers leading 7-2. A 3-run first, single run in the second, 3 in the fourth. Behind Tommy Hunter. The 2-run Kevin Kuzminoff home run in the 6th inning, the entirety of the Oakland offense. Josh Hamilton, 2 for 2 with a walk. A 2-out double in the first ignited that 3-run inning. Walked in the second, RBI single in the fourth. His 93rd run driven in on the year. And behind here, 0-2. Well, I always say we have the best seats in the house, but I guess actually technically those guys do.
They're closer. I don't know if our seat isn't a little better as far as getting the overall perspective of the field looking down on it from here. But it's tough to argue with how close they are right there.
It does always amaze me how well they can call balls and strikes from Ron Washington's vantage point. It bounces in, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Looking at it from that angle, but yeah, he has no problem recognizing every pitch. Pretty good idea on where it lands in relation to the strike zone.
The one thing that they can tell from there is they can see the height of the ball pretty good as it goes by the hitter. But as far as inside and outside, I think they have to probably depend on the catcher and how he receives the ball to have a real good idea. Either that or they've got a messenger coming down from the clubhouse who's just seen the replay on the screen up in the clubhouse.
Another area in which you find the name Josh Hamilton at the top. The most hits in the American League. batting .357. He has added 3 points to his batting average just his first 3 at bats tonight. Meanwhile, Bonser about to throw his 60th pitch beginning in the 3rd inning. And Brad Ziegler, the A's version of Darren O'Day, now getting loose.
I think another way a manager gauges whether it's a ball or a strike is the reaction of his catcher or the reaction of his hitter. And many times a manager will, in fact, all the time, stick up for his own players. If they're having a problem with an umpire's calls, the manager's going to have a problem as well.
Our game's now getting underway on the West Coast, and that means the Angels hosting Baltimore. Trevor Bell is on the mound for LA, and they start the day 9.5 behind the Rangers, 2 games under 500 at 63 and 65. Out to play again. Brad Bergeson on the mound for Baltimore, and tomorrow Kevin Millwood again tries for his 3rd win. He's 2-14. Scott Kazmir will be the starter tomorrow night in Anaheim for the Angels. The Rangers entering this series with an opportunity for all practical purposes, if they're not already, to eliminate any hopes by the A's and perhaps the Angels as well at running down this Texas team. In fact, if the Rangers were only to go 1 game under 500 the rest of the way, 17 and 18 to the finish, the A's would have to go 26 and 10 in their final 36 games. And that would produce a divisional tie. Crisp will have that one fall in front of him. Another base hit for Hamilton. A leadoff single here in the 7th, and he is 3 for 3. So if you could picture the A's going 26 and 10, having just as of tonight ended their streak of 18 consecutive quality starts and getting only 9 wins and 9 losses out of that stretch, you've got to believe that that is possible. Bob Guerin has got to talk as if it's possible, but deep down he knows exactly what they need to happen the rest of the way. And mostly they need the Rangers to collapse.
They need a little of that, and they need their hitters to start swinging the bats a little bit.
24th time for Josh Hamilton, 3 or more hits, and he is running away with that race. Joe Mauer, a distant second, and that is a new club record for Josh Hamilton, 3 hit games in a year. Add that to the list. Vlad fouls it off his leg. 1 ball and 1 strike. Guerrero in the 1st inning, an RBI single, and since then he has fouled out to first and grounded out to the 3rd baseman Kuzminov. The home run request there.
Well, they hit on the inside of his left knee above the pad.
Well, Vlad has supplied long balls each of the last 2 games, his 23rd and 24th. And tied with Cal Ripken Jr., 3 behind Wando on the all-time homer list. Way inside, 2 balls and a strike. Bruce Bonser was nothing if not well rested coming into this game, but this is about as long as you can reasonably expect a long reliever to go. This will be his 67th pitch. And he's behind 3 balls and a strike. So Ziegler continues to throw out of the A's bullpen. Hamilton at first, nobody out. Bottom of the 7th. Game in which the Rangers seized control in the 1st inning. And Tommy Hunter's bid to go 11-2. Up high with a breaking ball, ball 4. 2 Rangers on with nobody out. Bob Guerin is out of the A's dugout, and he will make the call here that will end the evening for Booth Bonser. And working into his 5th inning. He at least gave the A's what they needed in terms of eating those innings up and not having to go 2, 3, or 4 relievers deep beyond this. The veteran Ziegler jogging in. And we'll break for this pitching change. The Rangers. .6'4", 212-pounder, native of Pratt, Kansas, and this is his 53rd outing of the year. 3-4, a .335 earned run average, and a better than respectable opponent batting average of .244. Cantu, the batter, and the first Ziegler sidearm offering in there for a strike. What he inherits is Josh Hamilton at second after his leadoff single, and Vlad Guerrero at first. The only walk issued by Bonser, who went 4 innings plus 2 batters. 0-2 on Cantu. Jorge 0 for 2, walked and scored back in the first inning. And another chance here of driving in his first run as a Texas Ranger. Murphy did some quick reflexes there. A little pop-up right on top of the bag at second almost. Pennington makes the catch. Cantu is 0 for 3, and that will bring up Murphy. David struck out his last 2 times up. Both times he faced Bonser. Against Brett Anderson, the starter, he had probably the key at bat of the game, a 2-run double with 2 outs in the first inning. Up now to 47 runs batted in. And David struggling a little bit this week. 2 for 13 in the 4 games previous to tonight. Booth Bonser had hardly been used at all in just his 3rd outing out of the bullpen in 25 games since his call up on July 31st. Brad Ziegler's been almost that well rested. This is just his 6th appearance in the last 25 Oakland games, also since July 31st. That'll be trouble. They have been all night. Another infield single. There's no end to the small ball that the Rangers are throwing out there against the A's tonight.
Just one of those games from the A's perspective. There's not much you can do. The Rangers have hit some balls hard, but after the double that Murphy hit in the first inning. There really haven't been a lot of balls hit hard. There's been a lot of infield hits. Michael Young's double that drove in 2 runs was kind of a blooper to center field that Coco Crisp dove for and couldn't catch. It's just one of those nights of good fortune for the Ranger hitters. Some nights you have a night where you hit a bunch of balls hard and nothing to show for it.
Trainer hit that one hard, and it turns into an inning-ending double play. Just like that. Ellis grabbed it, shoveled to Pennington, and the Rangers get nothing. Game, shophonda.com. This amazing bit of hustle and balance and concentration all rolled into one by Andres Blanco as he tumbled into the first row over there just to the right of the Rangers dugout to make an amazing catch. Tommy Hunter, pitch number 88 on the night. He's thrown only 27 balls. And Coco Crisp, top of the order, to be followed by Barton and Suzuki. 1-1 to Crisp. He's 0 for 3. Hunter needed only 15 pitches to get through the first 7 in the second.
Could be an inning for Frankie Francisco coming up. Frankie's warming up. Might be the first time since he got the injection. Says he's feeling fine. He's ready to go.
And Frankie taking a cortisone shot in his right armpit after basically
that doesn't sound good.
No, it does not.
Shot in the armpit. Well, I guess if you've got significant pain, it can't get any worse.
2-2 to Crisp. Frankie's worked only twice in the last 14 games. Total of just 1 inning.
Well, if he's healthy, he'll be nice and rested for September.
Left field. Hamilton jogging back, reaches up as he arrives at the warning track. And Crisp is the first out of the 8th inning.
Boy, Crisp hit that ball a lot better than it appeared coming off the bat. I thought Josh was going to be able to drift back and make the play, and he had to turn it on right at the end, right near the warning track, and make a nice play. Coco got a little bit more of that than it appeared. Josh was not playing extremely deep to begin with.
Just enough speed at the end on a night in which not only is there no jet stream, there's no wind whatsoever.
Nothing.
87 degrees. So a warm night, but breezes that tend to help power hitters are completely absent. This one will not need any help from the wind, though. Out of here, Derek Barton with his 6th home run. And now a 10-game hitting streak, the second longest of his career. Second home run of the night against Tommy Hunter, his 16th of the season. And it's 7-3.
That looked like a changeup that Barton hit. Got just enough of it to get out of here in right field. Tommy gave up a 2-run homer in Baltimore on a changeup. Went 8 innings, gave up 3 runs. And when drifted back toward the inside corner, Barton just barely got it out of here. He hit a little bit toward the end of the bat, but had enough to get it out in right field.
364 feet. Kurt Suzuki has single, doubled, and flied out.
Well, Tommy can get out of this inning without another run scoring. It'll be 13 out of 16 starts with 3 earned runs.
Oh, a rocket. Michael Young hangs on to that one. Every bit as hard hit as the Barton home run, but on the line and playable.
Yeah, the A's have hit a few balls hard that have been caught. Suzuki hit that one hard. There's no doubt about that. That was a rope. Thankfully, he didn't get it up in the air.
Michael Young with some defensive struggles of late. And he's doing something about it. He's going out even before batting practice and working with Rangers infield coach Dave Anderson on trying to shore up his technique, especially on ground balls immediately to other side. He's had some difficulty all year making plays on the balls that are closest to him. He still has great reaction time, as he just showed there. 1-0 to Cust, who doubled just ahead of the Kuzmanov home run. 1 strikeout tonight for Jack. Just about always good for at least 1 K per game. The American League strikeout leader last year with 185. A little bit low, 2 balls in the strike. Austin Jackson out of Denton Ryan High School, the Tigers' fine young center fielder, still leads the American League with 135 strikeouts, and now 3-1 to Cust. Well, let's see. I'm not sure who Josh is. The 9-week-old first game for a youngster who I'm not sure is that happy to be here at this precise moment. Ball 4. And with Francisco probably ready at this point, Ron Washington will go ahead and make the move here. Tommy at 101 pitches, only 35 missing the mark. And as Francisco comes in, Tommy Hunter will exit to a well-deserved Rangers so far, having allowed 3 runs on 7 hits, he struck out 4, walked 2. And he leads with Jack Cust at first base after the second walk he issued tonight. 101 pitches. Another standout Tommy Hunter performance here at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. And now Frank Francisco ready to work for just the 3rd time in the last 15 games. A lot of time missed because of a back ailment. A 2.19 ERA in 12 outings since the All-Star break, and his ERA is down to 3.78. 6 wins, 4 losses, and a couple of saves. And first ball hitting, Kuzmanov sends it sky high out into shallow left field, and at the last moment Hamilton calls off Andrews. 1 pitch, all it takes for Frankie to get out number 3. A home run by Honda dealer of the game is Frank Kent Honda of Fort Worth. Visit us in Fort Worth or log on to frankkent.com. Rangers ready to go in the bottom of the 8th inning. They will face the 4th Oakland pitcher of the night, and it is their closer, Andrew Bailey, who has been on the DL recently, just activated Sunday, July 21st. Retroactively put on the disabled list with a right intercostal strain. Bailey with a 152 earned run average, 4th best among American League relief pitchers. This is 5th outing against the Rangers this year. He has 2 saves, 1 loss, and a blown save. 3 of his 7 career blown saves have happened here at Rangers Ballpark.
But you sure don't mind facing Andrew Bailey in this kind of a game. Generally speaking, he's out there to save a game. This game, he's just out there to get some work.
Ball and 2 strikes to Blanco. Then it'll be Bourbon and Andrews. Bailey, of course, last year's American League Rookie of the Year. After being invited to the 09 spring training camp as a non-roster invitee, made the club, took over as closer by the end of May, with Brad Ziegler struggling, and by the end of the year, there he was accepting the trophy for Rookie of the Year. 26 saves, 6-3, and a 184 earned run average last year for Andrew Bailey. The 2-2 line drive, another base hit for Blanco. He's got a 3-hit night. Extra bases here, at least 2. He will stop at second base.
Well, just can't say enough for the job that Andres is doing. is doing exactly what you need to do if you're an extra man. When you get your opportunity, play well and take advantage of it and make it last as long as you can. And right now he's playing so well that Ron Washington can't take him out of the lineup. He will eventually when Ian comes back. But right now he's getting his hits. He's playing a real nice defensive second base. At the bottom of the order, he's playing well for the Rangers right now.
And Tom, the recent road trip, he had a double leading off the inning and tried to turn it into a triple and was tagged out at third base. It was a dead duck. So having learned his lesson, he hangs on at second here.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of cardinal rules. You don't want to make the first or the last out of an inning at third base.
For a moment, it looked like he might have gotten a triple out of it out there to the deepest part of the park. But the A's were able to get it back in after not spending a whole lot of time chasing down the carom.
Yeah, one thing that helps the A's on that kind of a ball is the speed of Crisp and Rajai Davis, and how quickly they got to it.
1-2 to Bourbon, who has a perfect night going. 3 for 3. He has one of the 6 Ranger infield hits, and he scored one of the 3 fourth-inning runs when the Rangers opened it up to 7-0. They have out-hit Oakland 15-7. Blanco with 3 of those. A terrific production out of the 8 and 9 holes tonight for the Rangers. Blanco and Bourbon 6 for 7 between them. Ellis will handle this for the first out, but a productive out because Bourbon allows Blanco to advance to third base. He's there with 1 out for the top of the order, Elvis Andrus.
Every guy in the bench appreciates that. When you pull the ball on the ground, even though you're out, you move the runner. That's viewed as a team-oriented play.
Elvis drove in a run with an infield hit in the second. Sacrifice in the fourth. He's also grounded to first and hitting to a 4-6-3 double play. Infield in here, right back to the mound. Off on contact was Blanco, and he is tagged out by Bailey for out number 2.
Well, unfortunately, it went right back to the mound. A little bit to the side, one way or the other. He's got a chance to score, no matter what the infielders do. But back to the mound, not much chance.
One
by Bailey.
One unassisted. As it turns out, playing the infield in had nothing to do with how they got out number 2. Michael Young now. 2 outs.
Well, you really can't play the pitcher in. Okay, I guess you could move him like halfway. You could pitch from Little League distance.
Well, you could try that. I'd like to see the response. And Michael, who had a 2-run double and a run scored in the 4th inning. The Rangers really put it out of control. Andrew Bailey in his 40th game of this 2010 season. 20 saves and a 152 earned run average, but of late not that many save opportunities. And as we said, he's spent some time on the DL. 2-0 to Michael Young. Tommy Hunter tonight threw 21 first pitch strikes. And when he does that, he has games like this. He pitches to contact. Game moves along quickly. He has low pitch counts per batter. 2-1. 9 groundouts, 10 flyouts. And out of 101 pitches, only 35 balls. So a very typical, effective Tommy Hunter line tonight. Rangers 3 outs away from giving him his 11th win of the year. Meanwhile, 2-2 to Young with Hamilton on deck. He has had a 3-hit night. One of 3 Rangers with 3 base hits. Hamilton, Blanco, and Bourbon. On paper, this type of lineup does not appear to be a very balanced group for the Rangers. But that's been the case tonight. Young down on strikes. The Rangers go. Last dollar hot dog night at Dr. Pepper Autograph Wednesday of the season. Rangers players and coaches signing autographs on the concourse from 5:30 to 6. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS. Larish with a big cut and a miss to begin the Oakland ninth. They trail 7-3. Frank Francisco got the third out of the eighth inning with only one pitch, getting Kevin Kuzminoff to fly out. Larish, Ellis, and Davis here in the A's ninth inning. And nothing but strikes so far from Frankie. That one at 93 miles an hour. No ball, 2 strike count to Larish, who was 0 for 3 tonight. 2 groundouts and a strikeout as the DH. Tommy Hunter with 7 2/3, 3 runs on 7 hits. And another quality start for Tommy. And now it is 16 starts. He's allowed 3 earned runs or fewer in 13 of those 16. It was his 12th quality start of the evening. And Frankie hoping to get the last 3 outs here in the ninth. Down low with that one, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And as much time as he has missed lately, Tom, there's probably going to be some rust. But before then, Francisco was showing some very encouraging signs, particularly getting his splitter to behave well, and in combination with his mid-90s fastball, pitches that made him such an effective closer before Neftali Feliz came on the scene. And after getting ahead of Larish here, he's worked the count to 3-2.
He threw him 2 fastballs to get ahead 0-2, and then 3 straight off-speed pitches, including that 2-2 curveball for a ball. Now he's run the count to 3-2.
Missed again. A leadoff walk. Absolutely the last thing that the Rangers wanted to see here. So Larish aboard for Mark Ellis to try and move around.
Not too sure why he went away from his fastball in that situation. You got a 4-run lead. He's throwing the ball fine. Gets ahead 0-2, and then 4 straight off-speed pitches. Ends up being a walk.
And Ron Washington really did not want to have to get Neftali Feliz up here. But
he might not be feeling too good. They're going to bring the trainer out. It may have been why he wasn't throwing his fastball. I'm not sure.
Mike Maddox joined quickly by Ron Washington, Rangers trainer Jamie Reed, trainer, and the entire infield. And Frank will come out because something was going on. Is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. By Standard Insurance, call 1-800-929-2424. And by AT&T. See what's new from AT&T. Visit att.com for details. Neftali Feliz in a non-save situation. Jeff Larish at first after Francisco walked him to lead off this ninth inning. His 57th outing of the year. 3-3, 344 earned run average, and as we said, the 32 saves, tied for third most in the American League. First up, Mark Ellis, second baseman, 0 for 3. Goes after the first pitch, well hit. Left center field. Hamilton with the running catch, and he hangs on, banging into the wall. Another highlight reel play from Josh Hamilton.
I don't know what else you could say about the way he plays the game. There's no one in the league that plays harder every pitch than he does. He'll give up his body, diving to come in on a ball. He's fearless when he gets near the wall, and he literally outran this ball. Ellis hits that ball about as well as he can hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark, and Josh, without any regard to where the wall is, has one goal in mind, and that's to catch the ball with an all-out run. Just another tremendous play by a great player.
Hear that chant? It's MVP.
I don't get any argument from me.
0-1 on Davis. 1 for 2 with a walk. Nice stop by Trainer. I keep trying to think back to comparisons. Players in other baseball eras who had not only the number of gifts that Josh Hamilton has, but dominated just about every aspect. Offensively, maybe for power and average, all the 5 tools. That line drive, a base hit. And Larish to second base now as Murphy gets that one in. Second straight single for Davis. Pennington will be the batter.
If you go back to other eras, there's probably players who played in a similar way. I don't know that if you go back into another era that there was a guy 6'4", 240 pounds that could play center field and run the way he does. You know, if you talk about guys that have, you know, a similar style of play, Kirk Gibson played that way, but he couldn't throw and did hit for average like Josh does. I mean, he's a similar kind of player. Bo Jackson had similar tools that Josh does. Wasn't as good a hitter, wasn't as good a base runner, might have been as fast or a little faster. He had a great arm. Wasn't really a baseball player. He was a football player trying to play baseball, but physically he was similar to that. You hear people talk about Mickey Mantle, and Mickey Mantle was a switch hitter. He wasn't as big as Josh, but he played in a similar fashion, I guess.
Well, Nolan Ryan interviewed this week by Rich Sutcliffe for ESPN, and he drew the comparison to Willie Mays. Popped up, foul territory. Maybe a play for Michael Young. There is. And there is out number 2. It is up now to Coco Crisp.
You know, another player that you'll hear, I didn't see him play much because he was in the National League, but you'll hear people who saw him both, will talk about Larry Walker in his prime as being that kind of a 5-tool player with power, excellent outfield, a great arm.
Yeah, Clint Burton makes that comparison.
Yeah, he said that. I've heard someone say that. But I just don't know how you can get a better package. And the thing that clinches it all for me is how hard he plays every single play.
First pitch to Crisp. Ball 1. Coco 0 for 4 tonight with a strikeout. A 3-run first for the Rangers. Got Tommy Hunter a big lead. Run in the second, 3 more in the fourth. 1-1. The A's offense, 2-run homer in the 6th by Kuzmanov, and a solo shot by Barton in the 8th.
And Josh wasn't playing particularly deep for Ellis. He had ran a long way to catch that ball.
Through 3 innings in Anaheim, the Angels won, the Orioles won. The 1-1 pitch here almost hit him. 9 pitches, 4 balls now from Feliz.
Yeah, I think you'd love to get Crisp right here and don't take any chances in a 4-run game to let the tying run come to the plate.
When the Rangers were in Oakland a couple of weeks ago, Ron Washington talked about how they were leaving in no uncertain terms the idea that Feliz has to approach every outing as if it were a safe opportunity, because they felt that there were some games in which he came in and was throwing at less than maximum and making games run on longer than they needed to, not getting the 3 outs or however many were required as soon as possible to get everybody off the field. And Feliz has responded since then. He is not messing around anymore. A's down to their last strike. And this should do it. Bourbon coming in, gives way appropriately enough to Josh Hamilton. And it is over. The Rangers take the first of 3 with the A's. They now lead Oakland by 9.5 games. Tommy Hunter improves to 11-2. And what a job by the Ranger bullpen again. 9 games now. The bullpen ERA is 0.98. 2 earned runs in 18 into the 3rd inning. That's since the start of the Baltimore series last Thursday.
The Rangers played some good defense behind their pitching today. Josh ran the ball down in the 9th inning. Made a nice play on a ball earlier in the game. Blanco at second base went into the stands to make a nice play. It was a good defensive game by the Rangers. Well-pitched game by Tommy Hunter. The Rangers had some good fortune as far as their base hits finding holes. The A's actually swung the bats pretty well. They had 8 hits and 3 runs and had some hard hit balls that were caught.
7-3 our final. We'll be back to wrap this one up. September here?
Well, I mean, we just got to approach it one game at a time. The biggest thing is, not getting ahead of ourselves. We go to their place.